Never go to Colorado at 2:30 a.m. by Greyhound. Greyhound Route 1038, Denver to Grand Junction. Departure 2:30 a.m. Mountain Time, Tuesday and Friday service. This route has been running for 47 years. It's a mundane, unremarkable line through the Rockies, a ribbon of asphalt weaving through ancient, indifferent stone. On March 12, 2024, the bus arrived at Grand Junction at 01:17 a.m., 3 hours and 13 minutes before it even left Denver. Security footage shows the bus, a behemoth of steel and glass, pulling into Bay 7 at Grand Junction Station, time-stamped 01:17:33 a.m. Verified by 3 separate camera systems, its arrival was an undeniable, objective fact. Yet, Denver departure logs, just as undeniably, confirm the same bus, Bus 4471, left Denver at 04:30 a.m., Gate 14. Its manifest signed by a very real, very present driver, Marcus Brennan, at 04:28 a.m. Both timestamps verified, both events documented. Both real. The bus physically existed in 2 locations, separated by 247 miles, a distance that should demand hours of travel. At the same time. Before we go further, before the cold dread truly settles in your bones, if you've ever taken a late-night Greyhound through Colorado or anywhere in the Mountain Time Zone, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. And subscribe, because what the passengers remember, what they continue to remember, makes it so much worse. 17 passengers boarded in Denver. Security footage shows 17 distinct people scanning tickets between 04:15 and 04:29 a.m. Normal, expected. But Grand Junction station logs, grimly precise in their digital certainty, show 23 passengers disembarking at 01:17 a.m. 6 extra people. 6 people who weren't on the manifest. 6 people who never boarded. 6 people who, according to every database known to man, simply didn't exist. The setup. The routine. Route 1038 runs twice weekly through the Rockies. Tuesday and Friday departures, a rhythm of steel and rubber ticking away for 47 years. The manifest system hasn't changed since 2019, a cold, hard digital truth. Digital tickets scanned at boarding. Names verified against government ID, often bleary-eyed and tired in the pre-dawn gloom. Seat assignments logged automatically, every position accounted for. The system tracks everything, a watchful, unblinking eye over the mundane. It should track everything. Boarding procedures for Route 1038 follow standard protocol. Passengers arrive 30 minutes before departure, shuffling in from the biting cold, a collective sigh of relief for the warmth within. Tickets scanned at Gate 14, the soft, mechanical beep of familiar sound. The driver verifies head count against the manifest, a quick scan, a nod. Luggage tagged and stored in the belly of the bus, a silent promise of safe transport. Doors close with a hydraulic hiss at 04:25 a.m. A 5-minute buffer for the truly tardy, then departure at 04:30 a.m. exactly, no deviations, never. The route takes 6 hours and 43 minutes, a comfortable journey, broken by the mundane necessities of travel. A rest stop at Silverthorne at 06:15 a.m., a brief 15 minutes for stretching weary limbs. A second stop at Glenwood Springs at 08:30 a.m., 20 minutes to grab coffee to shake off the lingering phantom of sleep. Arrival at Grand Junction scheduled for 11:13 a.m. Predictable, safe, utterly, reliably normal. In 47 years, Route 1038 has never arrived early by more than 8 minutes, a minor statistical blip. Never by 3 hours. The witness, Angela Vasquez, 34 years old, A physical therapist, her hands skilled, her mind practical. Seat 12A, window side, her fortress against the world. She was traveling to Grand Junction for her sister's wedding, a joyous occasion, a brief respite from the relentless aches and pains of her patients. She'd taken this route twice before. Same time slot, same Tuesday departure. Familiarity was a comfort. She booked seat 12A specifically because it's over the rear wheel well. The constant, rhythmic vibration, a low, hypnotic hum, always helped her sleep. She planned to sleep the entire 6 hours, to wake refreshed, ready for the wedding festivities. She'd taken melatonin, a precisely timed dose at 03:45 a.m., an hour before departure, a potent lullaby for her anxious mind. She had noise-canceling headphones, a soft plush neck pillow, every defense against the world, every preparation for deep slumber. She didn't sleep, not really, not the deep, restorative sleep she craved. Only a fractured, uneasy dozing, the melatonin a heavy blanket that failed to smother the subtle, growing wrongness. The ordinary moment. It's 04:35 a.m., 5 minutes into the journey. The bus is on I-70 westbound, a dark behemoth gliding through the pre-dawn gloom, passing the Morrison exit. Mile marker 259. Angela is looking out the window, not really seeing the darkness, just a vague, shifting void. Red Rock's amphitheater is somewhere to the right, a ghostly silhouette, invisible in the consuming night. The bus is quiet. 17 passengers, a silent agreement to endure the journey in peace. Most are already lost to sleep, heads lolling against windows or pillows. Someone 3 rows up is listening to music through earbuds, the faint, tinny echo barely audible, a distant whisper in the hum. A woman across the aisle in 12C is reading on a tablet, the screen dimmed to a soft, ethereal glow, like a captured firefly. The overhead lights are off, the main cabin plunged into a comforting, oppressive darkness. Only the aisle runners are lit, that soft, electric blue glow, a ribbon of light that guides the way to the bathroom without rousing the sleeping masses. The temperature is set to a precise 68 degrees. The air conditioning hums steadily, a mechanical heartbeat, familiar, reassuring. Angela checks her phone. 04:36 a.m. Battery at 87%. A downloaded podcast, a true crime narrative, is ready to whisk her away. She's about to put her headphones on to finally surrender to the melatonin's pull, to the vibrations of seat 12A. That's when she notices the exit signs. Not really notices them at first. More like her peripheral vision snags on the familiar green and her brain does a double take. Exit 216, Silverthorne. They're passing Silverthorne. Angela stares at the sign, her brow furrowing, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor starting in her hands. Silverthorne. Silverthorne is 91 miles from Denver. At highway speeds, that's about 90 minutes. They've been driving for 6 minutes. Her mind, usually so precise, rebels. No, impossible. She checks her phone again, a frantic flick of her wrist. 04:36 a.m. Still 04:36 a.m. The digits gleam back at her, mocking her growing confusion. She looks out the window again, as if the sign will change, as if the landscape will revert. Another sign, clearer this time, cutting through the dark like a blade. Vale, exit 176. Vale. Vale is 109 miles from Denver, 2 hours at highway speeds. 7 minutes into the trip, Angela's brain does what brains do in the face of the impossible. It tries to make sense of it. Maybe she fell asleep, deeply. The melatonin, perhaps, worked faster, harder than expected, dragging her into a temporal skip. Maybe it's been longer than she thinks, a trick of the mind. But her phone says 04:36 a.m. Unwavering. And her podcast hasn't started yet. She hasn't pressed play. The familiar icon sits patiently on her screen, waiting for her command. A cold dread begins to coalesce in her stomach. It's not just a feeling of being wrong. It's the chilling certainty that something is profoundly wrong. She leans forward, her spine stiffening, and looks at the man in seat 11C across the aisle. David Torres. He's awake, staring at his own phone, his face etched with a confusion that mirrors her own. He looks up, makes eye contact with Angela. His eyes, usually sharp, are wide, bewildered. "What time do you have?" he asks, his voice a low, hesitant murmur, as if afraid to break a fragile spell. 4:36, Angela says, her voice dry, barely a whisper. He shows her his phone, the screen glowing eerily in the dim light. 04:36 a.m., identical. "We just passed Vail," he says, his gaze still fixed on her, seeking confirmation, or perhaps a shared hallucination. "I know," Angela says, the words feeling alien in her mouth. Collective realization. The woman with the tablet, Patricia Hoffman, looks up, her face pale. She'd been reading, or trying to. "We're passing Glenwood Springs," she says, her voice quiet but urgent, a tremor running through it, a stark contrast to the previous silence. "Exit 116. Glenwood Springs, 157 miles from Denver. 10 minutes into the trip." The man in 11C, David Torres, 56, an accountant whose world relied on numbers and logic, stands up abruptly. He moves with a jerky, almost frantic motion, walking to the front of the bus. Angela can hear him talking to the driver, Marcus Brennan, a low, intense murmur of voices, though she can't make out the words. Other passengers are waking up now, stirred by the rising tension, the sudden unnatural sounds. They check their phones, blink at the glowing screens, then look out windows, their faces contorting in disbelief. A teenager near the back, Ryan Delgado, his headphones now around his neck, says, his voice a shaky mix of awe and terror, "My GPS says we're in Grand Junction." Someone laughs, a short, sharp burst of nervous, disbelieving air. "That's impossible." But then more people check their phones. More people confirm it. The cold, impartial blue dot of GPS hovering over Grand Junction. Arrival time already passed. The bus is slowing down, its massive frame shuddering slightly. The driver is pulling off the highway, the turn a familiar motion, yet imbued with an unsettling wrongness. They're at the Grand Junction Greyhound station. The harsh, fluorescent glow of the terminal signs cutting through the pre-dawn darkness. The electronic sign at the front of the bus updates, a chillingly precise digital display. Grand Junction, 01:17 a.m. Not 4:47 a.m., not even close. 01:17 a.m. 3 hours and 13 minutes before they left Denver. The universe had folded in on itself, collapsing time, spitting them out into a past they hadn't departed from. The cold sweat Angela felt now was no longer fear, but the terror of knowing reality itself was utterly, irrevocably broken. The investigation. Immediate response. The bus stops at Bay 7. The hydraulic hiss of the air brakes a final, shuddering gasp. The doors open with a sigh, revealing the sterile, fluorescent-lit terminal. Nobody moves. A collective, frozen tableau of disbelief. The driver, Marcus Brennan, 41 years old, 19 years with Greyhound, a lifetime spent mastering routes and schedules, stands up. He looks at the passengers, his face a mask of profound, uncomprehending shock. He looks at his watch, a digital display, 01:17 a.m. He looks at the dashboard clock, 01:17 a.m. He looks at the station clock through the windshield, a massive, unblinking eye on the terminal wall, 01:17 a.m. "This isn't right," he says, his voice a guttural rasp, barely audible above the hum of the idling engine. The words hang heavy, inadequate in the face of such impossible truth. Angela pulls out her phone. Still shows 04:47 a.m. Denver time, a stubborn anchor in her own reality. She refreshes. Still 04:47 a.m. But when she opens her GPS app, it shows Grand Junction. Arrival time 1:17 a.m. Two realities coexisting on a single device, tearing at the fabric of her sanity. The man from 11C, David Torres, the accountant, ever practical, ever seeking an explanation, tries calling 911. The call connects. He can hear ringing, a shrill, insistent sound. But when someone answers, the voice is strange, distorted, a garbled, echoing whisper that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The words don't quite align with his expectation, a surreal disconnect. He hangs up, his hand shaking, the phone suddenly heavy and cold. A woman near the front, Patricia Hoffman, 62, a retired teacher, stands up. Her face, usually kind, is now drawn and pale. She begins to count passengers out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. She counts 17. Her brow furrows. She shakes her head as if clearing cobwebs. Then she counts again. 23. The number hangs in the air, a phantom count. She counts a third time, slowly, deliberately. Pointing at each person with a trembling finger, her lips moving silently, then articulating the number. The number changes every time she counts. 17, 23, 19, 23, 17. Her eyes dart from face to face, then back to her own hands, as if they are betraying her. A quiet sob escapes her lips. Physical verification. Marcus, the driver, his face a mask of sweat and disbelief, opens the luggage compartment, the heavy door groaning in protest. He needs to verify the physical manifest, the paper backup, a relic in the digital age that every driver carries. The tags should match the passenger count. They must. He pulls out the clipboard, his hand trembling so violently he almost drops it. 17 passengers listed, 17 names, 17 seat assignments. He checks the tags on the luggage, his eyes scanning, frantic, desperate for order. 23 tags. He counts them again, tracing each one with his finger, a guttural sound escaping his throat. 23. But only 17 bags. The tags are attached to 17 bags, but there are 23 tags. Some bags have multiple tags, 2 tags, 3 tags. One worn duffel bag has 4 tags, crumpled and overlapping, attached to the same handle. Each tag a new horror. David Torres, the accountant, his logical mind shattered, mechanically takes photos with his phone. He films the luggage. He films the tags. He reviews the footage, his breath catching in his throat. The video clearly shows 17 bags, unmistakable. He counts on the screen, 23. He counts the physical bags in front of him, 17. He looks at the video again, 23 bags visible in the frame. His mind screams for a rational explanation, but there is none. His phone is lying to him, or his eyes, or both. Angela tries something different, a desperate attempt to ground them in a shared reality. She asks everyone on the bus to raise their hand. "Please," she begs, her voice cracking, "just raise your hand." She counts raised hands. 17 hands, visible, tangible. She asks everyone to say their name out loud, one at a time, front to back. Just your name, please, so we can hear each other. 23 names, distinct, different voices. Some hushed, some trembling, some strong, some barely a whisper. Names she didn't recognize. She records it on her phone, plays it back. 23 distinct voices, 23 names. She looks at the bus, counts visible people. 17. Her eyes ache with the effort, her brain trying to reconcile the audible with the visible and failing miserably. Evidence cascade. Marcus, clutching the physical manifest like a life raft, calls Greyhound dispatch. The call goes through, a blessed connection to the outside world. He reports the situation, his voice raw, hoarse with fear. The dispatcher, Janet Kowalski, working the overnight shift, her voice a calm, professional counterpoint to his rising panic, pulls up Route 1038 in the system. The system shows the bus departed Denver at 04:30 a.m. Time-stamped, confirmed, a solid digital fact. The system shows the bus arrived at Grand Junction at 01:17 a.m. Time-stamped, confirmed, another solid digital fact. Both events are in the database. Both are verified by GPS tracking, a continuous, unbroken line across the continent. Both are documented by security cameras, unblinking eyes recording all. Janet, her voice still calm, a chilling disconnect, asks Marcus to verify the bus number. He checks the vehicle ID plate, a metal tag fixed to the dashboard. Bus 4471. Janet confirms. Bus 4471 is currently at Grand Junction, arrived 01:17 a.m. Janet also confirms, her voice now acquiring a faint, almost imperceptible tremor. Bus 4471 is currently departing Denver, left gate 14 at 04:30 a.m. The same bus, in the system, existing in both locations, simultaneously verified by GPS, cameras, and dispatch logs. A ghost in the machine, a fundamental glitch in reality. Marcus, past the point of terror, now in a cold, numb horror, asks Janet to check the passenger manifest. She pulls it up. 17 passengers, all names verified, all tickets scanned at Denver between 04:15 and 04:29 a.m. Marcus tells her to check Grand Junction arrival logs, his voice rising in pitch. 23 passengers disembarked at 01:17 a.m. The station attendant, Kyle Morrison, a college student working the graveyard shift, physically counted them. Watched them leave through the terminal. 23 people. Kyle himself, reached on an internal line, confirms this. Janet asks Kyle to check the security footage. Kyle pulls it up on his monitor, his face already pale from previous inexplicable glitches. He counts passengers exiting the bus frame by frame. 23 people. He watches them walk away, a steady stream of figures. He counts again, his brow furrowing, a strange sense of déjà vu. 17 people. The figures seem to shimmer, to blur, some visible, some fading into the background like smoke. He reviews the footage a third time. Desperate, he uses the system's automated counter, the software that tracks foot traffic for station capacity planning, the infallible, objective machine. The software reports 23 individuals detected. Kyle counts manually on the screen. His mind reels. The machine is lying, or he is, or both. Attempted solutions. Angela, her mind racing, tries to get off the bus. She walks to the front, her legs heavy as if moving through water. Steps down onto the platform at Bay 7. The fluorescent lights hum, casting a harsh, unforgiving glow. She's standing in Grand Junction Station. She can see the terminal building, the empty waiting area, the vending machines, their silent hum a mechanical whisper. She checks her phone. 01:17 a.m., a jarring, sickening confirmation. She walks back onto the bus, a desperate retreat from the impossible. Checks her phone again. 4:52 a.m. The world has shifted back violently. She steps off. 1:17 a.m. The time instantly snaps. She steps on. 4:52 a.m. The world lurches again. Each step a dizzying, nauseating journey through time. David Torres tries the same thing, a grim experiment in shattered reality. His phone shows the same pattern. Off the bus, 01:17 a.m. On the bus, 04:52 a.m. The phenomenon is confined to the bus, a bubble of temporal instability. But his smartwatch, which syncs to his phone, yet also has its own internal clock, shows a different time. The watch, a small, stubborn bastion of normalcy, stays at 04:52 a.m. whether he's on or off the bus, a single, unwavering constant in a world gone mad. Patricia Hoffman, the retired teacher, suggests they all get off the bus and go into the terminal. Maybe the phenomenon is limited to the vehicle, a logical, desperate hope. 13 passengers, a bewildered, shaken huddle, agree to try. They exit the bus together, a nervous, almost ritualistic procession. Kyle, the station attendant, watching through the plate glass window, counts them as they enter the terminal. His eyes narrow. 8 people. The group, huddled together, counts themselves. 13 people. A murmur of disbelief, then mounting fear. Kyle counts again, his voice echoing through the intercom. 8! I only see 8! One of the passengers, a college student named Ryan Delgado, who had filmed the luggage, films the group with his phone. He counts on camera. 13 people visible, plain as day. Kyle watches the phone screen, now projected onto a monitor. I see 8 people in your video, he says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. Ryan looks at his own screen. 13 people. The video is clear. His own eyes can't lie. Yet Kyle's words, the terror in his voice, suggest otherwise. The reality is fragmenting, subjective. They go back to the bus, defeated, disoriented. Marcus closes the doors, the hydraulic hiss now sounding like a sigh of resignation. He starts the engine, the familiar rumble a hollow comfort. He puts the bus in reverse, backs out of Bay 7. The terminal lights recede. The dashboard clock changes. 04:30 a.m. They're back in Denver. The world has reset. The mountains outside the window are the wrong ones. The terminal building has vanished. The collective memory of Grand Junction, of the nightmare, now seems like a terrible dream, a shared hallucination. But the fear, the cold, gripping terror remains. The revelation. Aftermath. What authorities found. At 06:47 a.m. Mountain Time on March 12, 2024, Greyhound Bus 4471 arrived at Grand Junction Station, on schedule, Gate 7. The arrival was logged normally, no irregularities reported. Marcus Brennan, a little pale but otherwise normal, signed off his route. 17 passengers disembarked, all accounted for. All names matched the manifest from the 04:30 a.m. Denver departure, a perfectly ordinary journey. But when Colorado State Police reviewed the security footage, requested due to a formal complaint filed by Angela Vasquez, who insisted vehemently that something impossible had happened, they found anomalies. Anomalies that chilled them to the bone. The footage showed the bus arriving twice. First arrival, 01:17 a.m. 23 passengers disembarked, a ghostly procession. Second arrival, 11:13 a.m. 17 passengers disembarked, solid, mundane. The license plate number was identical, bus 4471, the same damned vehicle. But when investigators cross-referenced the footage with GPS logs from the bus's tracking system, they found something that twisted their stomachs and escalated the investigation to federal authorities. The GPS showed a continuous, uninterrupted route from Denver to Grand Junction. Departure 04:30 a.m. Arrival 11:13 a.m. Travel time 43 minutes. Normal, expected, logical. The GPS showed no position data between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., a terrifying, inexplicable void. The bus didn't exist in any location during those 3 hours, not according to satellites, not according to cell tower triangulation. Not according to the vehicle's own onboard systems. It had simply vanished and then reappeared. FBI agents interviewed all 17 passengers over the following week, their faces grim, their questions probing. 12 passengers remembered the impossible journey, the temporal disjunction, the shifting counts, the terror. 5 passengers remembered a normal 6-hour trip, no memory of time discrepancies, no memory of the 01:17 a.m. arrival. Their minds had simply smoothed over the horrific truth. The 5 passengers who remembered a normal trip were all seated in rows 1 through 4, the front section of the bus. Closest to the driver, closest to the normal, waking world. The 12 who remembered the impossible journey were seated in rows 7 through 14, the rear section, farther from the driver, deeper into the unsettling heart of the anomaly. Nobody was seated in rows 5 or 6. Those seats, a chilling, silent void, were empty, or so they seemed. Physical evidence analysis. Forensic teams, their equipment cold and sterile, examined bus 4471 on March 15th, 3 days after the incident. They found biological evidence that, according to all known laws of existence, shouldn't exist. The seats in rows 5 and 6, the empty rows, contained epithelial cells from 6 different individuals. DNA analysis confirmed 6 unique genetic profiles: skin cells, hair follicles, dried saliva on the headrests, ghost whispers of presence. None of the 6 profiles matched the 17 passengers on the manifest. None of the 6 profiles existed in any database: CODIS, Interpol, state records, private genealogy services. They were phantoms, yet left undeniable physical traces. Chemical analysis of fabric samples from those seats revealed something else, a deeper, stranger layer of impossible truth. The molecular composition of the cotton fibers showed isotope ratios inconsistent with any known textile manufacturing process on Earth. The carbon-14 dating suggested the fabric was manufactured between 1960 and 1965. Bus 4471 entered service in 2019. The seats were installed new from the factory. A chilling, impossible discrepancy. Digital evidence from the bus's event data recorder, similar to a black box in aircraft, an unblinking chronicler of mechanical truth, showed speed, braking, and acceleration data. The EDR recorded a journey lasting 6 hours and 43 minutes. Normal highway speeds, normal stop duration at Silverthorne and Glenwood Springs. Everything perfectly, precisely normal. But the timestamps in the EDR were corrupted. The data showed departure from Denver at 04:30 a.m. It showed arrival at Grand Junction at 04:30 a.m. 0 elapsed time, but 6 hours and 43 minutes of recorded travel data. A paradox etched into silicon, a scream of digital agony. Security footage from Silverthorne Rest Stop showed bus 4471 arriving at 06:15 a.m. Marcus Brennan is visible, a tired but normal figure, exiting the bus. A 15-minute stop. Passengers disembark, use facilities, purchase food, all perfectly normal. The station's transaction logs show no purchases between 06 a.m. and 0:30 a.m. A cold, silent void. The station attendant who was working that morning, Lisa Chen, doesn't remember the bus arriving. She was on duty. She reviewed her own station's security footage after being contacted by investigators, her eyes wide with a dawning horror. "I watched the footage," she told FBI agents in her official interview, her voice trembling. "I saw the bus. I saw the driver. I saw myself talking to passengers, but I don't remember it happening. I have no memory of that morning." Investigators asked if she had any unexplained gaps in her records or memory. "My shift log shows I took a break from 06:10 to 06:25 a.m., she said, her voice hollow. 15 minutes. I have no idea what I did during that break. I never take breaks during overnight shifts. There's nobody to cover for me." Her memory of herself erased. The pattern. Federal investigators, their faces now etched with a profound unease, pulled Greyhound records going back to 1977, as far back as computerized records existed. They searched for similar incidents on Route 1038. They found patterns, dark, unsettling patterns. They found 8 documented cases of temporal anomalies, ghostly echoes of the present terror. June 3, 1982. Bus arrived at Grand Junction 4 hours before scheduled departure from Denver. Driver reported lost time, a phrase dismissed as fatigue. No investigation conducted. Incident attributed to driver fatigue. September 17, 1989. Bus recorded arrival time of 2:30 a.m. despite 4:30 a.m. departure. 7 passengers reported memory discrepancies. Company internal memo classified incident as clerical error, a convenient lie. March 8, 1994. Passenger manifest showed 18 names. Station logs recorded 24 people disembarking. Security footage reviewed, discrepancy confirmed but unexplained. Filed under administrative review, buried and forgotten. November 22, 2001. Route 1038 arrived on schedule, but GPS logs showed the bus traveling at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour for portions of the journey. Data dismissed as equipment malfunction, an impossible feat of engineering. July 14, 2007. Multiple passengers reported the bus repeating the same 20-minute segment of I-70 near Eisenhower Tunnel. Driver confirmed phenomenon, his face pale. No official report filed. Driver terminated for performance issues 3 weeks later. Silenced. January 30, 2013. Bus arrived with passenger count inconsistent with manifest. An investigation launched but closed after 3 days. Record sealed by company legal department. Buried deeper. October 9, 2018. Temporal discrepancy of 1 hour and 40 minutes. 6 passengers filed complaints. Greyhound offered full refunds and non-disclosure agreements. 5 passengers signed, their silence bought. 1 passenger, Thomas Kowalczyk, refused and went public. His blog post received minimal attention. He died in a car accident 4 months later. A chilling coincidence. March 12, 2024. Current incident. The most severe yet. The pattern shows escalation. Incidents occurring more frequently. Time discrepancies increasing, tearing larger holes in reality. More witnesses, more documentation, harder to dismiss. But there's another pattern, a tighter, more sinister one. Every incident occurs on a Tuesday or Friday, the days Route 1038 operates. Every incident occurs between mile markers 200 and 250, a 50-mile stretch through the Rockies, a specific, cursed segment of road. Every incident occurs between 1 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. Mountain Time, regardless of when the bus actually departed Denver. A window into another win. The bus isn't arriving early. It's arriving in a different win. Not just a time, but a moment, a specific point in a fragmented, looping reality. Expert testimony. Dr. Sarah Bromley, a theoretical physicist at MIT, her mind a fortress of logic, reviewed the evidence in an off-record consultation with federal investigators. Her analysis, too terrifying for the public, was never officially filed. "What you're describing is consistent with a closed time-like curve," she said in a recorded interview obtained through a desperate FOIA request. Her voice, usually calm and academic, held a tremor of profound discomfort. Think of it as a fold in space-time. Point A and point B touch each other despite being separated by vast stretches of time and distance. "Can that happen naturally?" the investigator asked, his voice strained. "Not according to mainstream physics. You'd need exotic matter, negative energy density, conditions that don't exist in nature. But there's something about that specific stretch of I-70, the geology, the Precambrian granite formations, high concentrations of uranium and thorium, natural radiation at levels significantly above background. If something were to create a localized distortion, a weak point in space-time, that's where you'd find it." What would create that distortion? Dr. Bromley hesitated. The recording shows 18 seconds of crushing, deafening silence, the sound of a mind grappling with the unthinkable. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's getting stronger. The incidents are escalating. The time discrepancies are increasing. And there's something else that concerns me." Her voice was barely a whisper. "What?" "The extra passengers. The 6 people who appear on the manifest but don't exist. Where do they come from? How do they leave biological evidence if they aren't here?" The investigator had no answer, only the cold, sterile hum of the recording device. "Because if space-time is folding," Dr. Bromley continued, her voice gaining a chilling certainty, "if different moments are touching, then maybe those 6 people do exist, just not in this timeline, not in this version of March 12, 2024. They exist somewhere else, sometime else." The interview ended there. Dr. Bromley declined further consultation, her silence more damning than any pronouncement. When contacted for this investigation, she stated, her voice tight, "I can't discuss that case. I was asked to sign something. I can't say more." Her fear, palpable, real. Marcus Brennan, the driver, was placed on administrative leave for 2 weeks. He underwent psychological evaluation, medical examination. Both cleared him for return to duty, a clean bill of health. But he never drove Route 1038 again. The terror had etched itself too deeply into his soul. In an anonymous interview posted to a trucking industry forum in April 2024, verified through metadata analysis to originate from his IP address, he wrote, a desperate digital cry into the void. "I've driven that route 400 times. I know every mile marker, every exit, every curve. That night, I was driving a road I'd never seen before. The exits were in the wrong order. The mountains were in the wrong positions. The road wasn't I-70. It looked like I-70, but it wasn't. It was something else, a phantom road. And when I looked in the rearview mirror at the passengers, some of them weren't looking back at me. They were looking at something behind me in the driver's seat, where I was sitting." They were looking through me. His words a chilling, visceral testament to a fractured reality. The implications. The broader pattern. Route 1038 isn't isolated. It's just a single thread in a vast, unraveling tapestry. Federal investigators, working across multiple agencies, including FBI, Department of Transportation, and an unnamed division that doesn't appear in any public records, a shadowy, secret arm of government, identified 47 similar incidents across the United States between 1977 and 2024. All involved overnight bus routes. Greyhound, Megabus, Peter Pan, regional carriers. The mundane vehicles of everyday life, becoming conduits for the impossible. All occurred between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. local time, a specific, vulnerable window in the deep night. All occurred in mountain regions or areas with significant geological anomalies, the Rockies, the Appalachians, the Ozarks, the Sierra Nevada, volcanic regions in the Pacific Northwest, places of raw, untamed power, where the Earth itself seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. 12 incidents involved temporal discrepancies, arrivals before departures, time loops trapping travelers in endless cycles. GPS data showing impossible speeds or non-existent positions, spitting digital lies into existence. 19 incidents involved passenger count irregularities, extra people, missing people, counts that changed depending on who was counting, a terrifying subjectivity of existence. 8 incidents involved what witnesses described as geography errors, roads in wrong locations, exits appearing out of sequence leading to phantom destinations, landmarks that shouldn't be visible from certain positions, ghostly echoes of other places. 6 incidents involved drivers reporting loss of control, not mechanical failure, but the vehicle driving itself, following a route the driver didn't recognize, taking exits that weren't on the GPS, arriving at destinations via impossible paths, as if guided by an unseen, malevolent hand. 2 incidents involved buses that never arrived at all. Departed on schedule. Verified by security footage. Never reached destination. No wreckage found. No distress calls. 34 passengers total. Gone. Vanished without a trace. Swallowed by the anomaly. The pattern shows geographic clustering. Incidents concentrate in areas with high natural radiation, granite formations, uranium deposits, fault lines, volcanic activity, places where the Earth's ancient energies run wild. The pattern shows temporal clustering. Incidents occur more frequently during certain lunar phases, during solar storms, during periods of high geomagnetic activity, when the veil between worlds perhaps thins. The pattern shows escalation. 1 incident in the 1970s, 3 in the 1980s, 7 in the 1990s, 12 in the 2000s, 18 between 2010 and 2020, a sickening acceleration. 7 incidents in 2024 alone, and it's only March. The anomaly is growing, spreading, consuming. There are rules, unofficial, undocumented. Whispered warnings passed down like ancient folklore among drivers who've been on overnight routes for decades, their eyes haunted. Rule 1. If your passenger count doesn't match your manifest, don't stop to investigate. Don't recount. Drive to the next station and let dispatch handle it. Do not engage. Rule 2. If you see exit signs for cities you haven't reached yet, don't take those exits. Stay on your planned route, even if your GPS tells you to exit, even if passengers insist you're going the wrong way. The phantom roads lead to oblivion. Rule 3. If your dashboard clock and your watch show different times, believe your watch. The dashboard is connected to the bus. The bus isn't always in the same wind as you are. You are the anchor. Rule 4. If passengers are seated in rows that should be empty, don't look at them directly. Don't engage. Don't make eye contact. They're not your passengers. You're not their driver. You're just sharing the same vehicle temporarily. A fleeting, terrifying coexistence. Rule 5. If you arrive before you depart, stay on the bus. Don't let passengers disembark at the wrong time. Don't let yourself disembark. Wait. The timeline will correct itself. Usually. Pray it does. These rules aren't in any Greyhound manual. They're not taught in training. But ask any driver who's worked overnight mountain routes for more than 5 years. They know, and they never speak of it, not openly, only in hushed tones in dimly lit truck stops under the cold, indifferent gaze of the moon. The theory. Dr. James Kelso, retired astrophysicist and consultant to NASA, proposed a theory in a 2019 paper that was rejected by every major physics journal. They called it pseudoscience. He published it independently on Archive. The paper has been downloaded 247 times. It's been cited in 0 peer-reviewed publications. Ignored. Dismissed. His theory, highways function as artificial ley lines. Ancient cultures built monuments on lines of natural energy, he wrote, his words a lonely voice in the academic wilderness. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Nazca lines. These sites correspond to geological features, underground water, mineral deposits, fault lines. Now consider physics recognizes these features create measurable gravitational and electromagnetic anomalies. Now consider highways, millions of tons of asphalt and concrete laid across thousands of miles, following terrain, cutting through mountains, bridging valleys. We've created artificial structures that intersect natural geological features at specific points. We have, unwittingly, built our own monuments of power. When a vehicle, especially a large metal vehicle like a bus, travels these routes at specific times under specific conditions, it acts as a conductor, a moving antenna. It interacts with the underlying geological structures, tapping into ancient cosmic energies. Under normal conditions, nothing happens. But during periods of high geomagnetic activity, during solar storms, during certain planetary alignments, the interaction intensifies. The vehicle becomes a bridge between moments in time. Between possibilities. Between timelines that normally run parallel, but occasionally touch, and sometimes they tear. The paper was dismissed as pseudoscience. Dr. Kelso was asked to resign from his university position. He now works as a consultant for private transportation companies that won't publicly acknowledge they employ him. His knowledge, too dangerous for the light of day. In March 2024, 2 weeks after the Route 1038 incident, Dr. Kelso posted an update to his personal blog, a quiet, chilling missive that resonated with the terror of the unknowable. They're asking the wrong questions. They want to know how this is happening. They want to know why. But the question they should be asking is, how long has this been happening? Because if you accept that time can fold, that different moments can touch, then you have to accept something else. This has always been happening. We're only noticing it now because we have the technology to document it. Cameras, GPS, digital timestamps. Before that? People arrived at strange times, saw impossible things, told stories that nobody believed. We called them ghost stories, urban legends, folklore. We were wrong. Ongoing effects. 17 passengers boarded bus 4471 in Denver on March 12, 2024. 12 of them report ongoing symptoms, their lives irrevocably altered by that impossible journey. Angela Vasquez experiences what she calls time skips, moments where her clock shows one time and her perception shows another. She'll look at her phone, 3 p.m., look away, look back, 3 p.m., but she's aware of 5 minutes passing. She's had conversations, moved to different rooms, completed tasks. The clock insists no time has passed. The world shifts beneath her feet. David Torres reports seeing people who aren't there. Not hallucinations, not madness. He sees them on security footage, in photographs, in video calls. People in the background who nobody else notices. Spectral, fleeting. He's learned to stop mentioning them, to be silent for his own sanity. Patricia Hoffman has started keeping a journal. She writes down what happens each day, what she did, who she talked to, what she ate. Every morning, she reads the previous day's entry, a desperate attempt to ground herself in linear time. 3 times in the past 4 months, her journal has described events she doesn't remember. Entire days that are blank in her memory but documented in her own handwriting. Activities she couldn't have done. Conversations with people she doesn't know, yet she penned their words. The entries are real. The handwriting is hers. Forensic analysis confirms it. Her own hand is writing a life she hasn't lived. Ryan Delgado, the college student who filmed the group at Grand Junction Station, reviews his phone's photo gallery obsessively. He's found pictures he doesn't remember taking, locations he's never visited, people he's never met. The metadata confirms his phone captured them. The timestamps fit his timeline. But he wasn't there, or at least his conscious mind wasn't. 5 of the 12 passengers have reported the same dream. A recurring nightmare, a shared psychic wound. They're back on the bus, night, driving through the mountains, the landscape familiar yet subtly wrong. They look out the window and see another bus driving parallel. Same model, same route, close enough to see inside. They see themselves sitting in the same seat, looking out the window. Making eye contact with their duplicate, a moment of profound, soul-shattering recognition. Both versions wake up. Neither knows which one is real. Current status. Route 1038 is still operating. Tuesday and Friday departures. 02:30 a.m. from Denver. Scheduled arrival at Grand Junction at 11:13 a.m. The mundane continues, a fragile illusion. The route hasn't been suspended. No safety warnings have been issued. No official investigation has been announced publicly. The public remains blissfully, dangerously unaware. Greyhound's only public statement, released through their corporate communications office: "We are aware of customer concerns regarding Route 1038. We take all safety matters seriously. Our vehicles undergo regular maintenance and inspection. We have found no mechanical or operational issues with this route." A corporate shrug in the face of the impossible. But internally, changes have been made, whispered changes. Drivers assigned to Route 1038 are now required to undergo monthly psychological evaluations. This requirement exists for no other route in Greyhound's system, a silent acknowledgement of the route's toll. Bus 4471 was retired from service on April 1, 2024, officially listed as scheduled decommissioning due to age. The bus was 8 years old. Standard retirement age for Greyhound buses is 12 to 15 years, a premature, urgent decommissioning. The vehicle was not sold at auction as is standard practice. It was transported to an undisclosed facility. Current location unknown. Hidden away, its secrets locked behind walls. Route 1038 now uses only newer vehicles, models manufactured after 2020, all equipped with advanced GPS tracking that updates position every 30 seconds instead of every 5 minutes. All equipped with secondary tracking systems that function independently, a desperate attempt to pinpoint the unpinnable. Passenger manifests are now verified through 3 separate systems: paper, digital, and biometric. Facial recognition cameras at boarding gates. Head counts conducted by drivers and automated systems simultaneously. 3 layers of verification, 3 desperate attempts to count the unquantifiable. None of these measures have been implemented on any other route. The terror of 1038 is unique. Drivers who work Route 1038 report something else, something Greyhound won't acknowledge, something that only they experience. The buses feel different on that route. The handling, the weight distribution, the way the vehicle responds to steering. As if the bus is carrying more weight than the passengers and luggage account for. As if seats that appear empty aren't actually empty. In June 2024, driver Hannah Bishop filed an incident report after completing her first Route 1038 trip. She described feeling watched throughout the journey. She checked the rearview mirror repeatedly. She saw 17 passengers, verified by manifest, normal. But when she glanced at the mirror quickly, without focusing, catching it in her peripheral vision, she saw more people, shadowy, indistinct, sitting in the empty rows. When she looked directly, they were gone. Her mind playing tricks, or so she told herself. She drove Route 1038 3 more times, same experience. Each trip, the chilling, phantom presence. She requested reassignment. It was granted immediately, no questions asked. Her terror understood implicitly. Route 1038 now has a 34% driver retention rate. Average driver stays on the route for 2.3 trips before requesting transfer. Industry standard for established routes is 85% retention over 2 years. A chilling testament to the route's true nature. The route is still running. Passengers still book tickets. Most of them arrive on time. Normal journey. No incidents. Most of them, the final dread. The unresolved evidence. The federal investigation officially closed in July 2024, 4 months after the incident. The case file is classified. FOIA requests have been denied under national security provisions. The truth, too dangerous for public consumption. But questions remain. Lingering like a cold touch in the dark. How did 6 people who don't exist leave biological evidence? DNA from individuals with no records, no birth certificates, no genetic matches in any database. Where did they come from? Where did they go after disembarking at 01:17 a.m.? Did they simply evaporate, leaving only the chilling whispers of their genetic code? Why do different observers count different numbers of passengers? Not subjective disagreement, not parallax error. Different people counting the same group at the same moment reach different conclusions. Both conclusions are documented. Both are real. How can the same physical space contain different quantities of matter depending on who's observing? Is reality a matter of consensus, or is it merely suggested? What happened during the 3 hours the bus didn't exist? GPS shows no location data between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. The bus vanished from all tracking systems. Yet it traveled from Denver to Grand Junction. Where was it? When was it? A dimension outside of our own? A forgotten moment in time? Why does security footage show 2 arrivals of the same bus? Not a glitch, not duplicate footage. 2 separate events, 3 hours apart. Same vehicle, different passenger counts, both verified, both real. a rupture in the very fabric of linear progression. What are the extra passengers sitting in the empty rows? Drivers see them in peripheral vision. Passengers sense them. The bus's weight distribution suggests their presence, but direct observation shows nothing. What exists in a space that's occupied but appears empty? Are they ghosts? Or something far more terrifying? And the biggest question, the one that gnaws at the edges of sanity: if time can fold, if moments can touch, if the bus can exist in multiple times simultaneously, what happens to the passengers caught between those moments? Are they still there, in some version of that night? Riding a bus that departed Denver at 04:30 a.m. but hasn't arrived yet? Will they ever arrive? Or are they perpetually on the precipice, caught in an endless looping journey? Or are they stuck in the 3 hours that don't exist, the gap between 1 and 4 a.m., the space where GPS can't find them? Driving forever through a stretch of I-70 that connects to nothing. The personal stakes. How many late-night bus trips have you taken? How many times have you settled into that vibrating seat, the hum of the engine a lullaby, and drifted off? How many times have you checked your phone and noticed the time felt wrong? You could swear more time passed than your clock shows, or less time. You shrug it off. Your phone must be right. Your memory must be wrong. But what if your memory was correct? What if your internal clock, your primal sense of passage, was whispering a truth that your rational mind, your digital devices conspire to deny? What if you've experienced this and rationalized it away? A momentary disorientation, jet lag, fatigue, convenient lies. Here's something you can check right now. Pull up your photo gallery, sort by date, look at the timestamps. Do they all make sense? Is there a continuous timeline, an unbroken chain of moments? Or are there gaps, distortions? Pictures from times you don't remember taking them. Locations that are slightly wrong, a landmark out of place. Timestamps that are out of sequence, defying logic. Angela Vasquez found 14 photos on her phone from March 12, 2024. She remembers taking 3. The other 11 show the interior of bus 4471. Different angles. Different times based on the lighting. Different passengers visible in the background. She reviewed them with investigators. The passengers in those photos? 6 of them don't match the manifest. 6 people who weren't there. 6 people who weren't on the bus. 6 people who appeared in her photos. Check your travel photos. Especially from overnight trips. Especially through mountain regions. Look at who appears in the background. Count them. Count them again. Do the numbers match, or do they shift subtly, chillingly? David Torres, the accountant whose world of numbers crumbled, started tracking something else. He reviewed every photo he'd ever taken on public transportation. Buses, trains, planes, thousands of photos over a decade. His obsession, a desperate search for meaning. He found a pattern. In 127 photos, there are people he doesn't remember seeing. People who appear in multiple photos taken months or years apart in different locations. Same individuals, same clothes, as if they're following the same loop, riding the same routes, forever. He created a database, posted it online, a quiet, terrifying corner of the internet, asked others to contribute their travel photos. 300 people responded. They found the same individuals appearing in photos across decades. Same faces, same age, wearing clothing from different eras yet unchanging. A woman in a blue dress, visible in bus photos from 1994, 2006, and 2018. Different states, different routes, same woman, same dress, same expression, an eerie, timeless placidity. A man in a gray suit. Background of train photos from 1987, 2001, and 2023. Different countries, same man, same suit. They're not aging, they're not changing. They're just there, in the background, traveling. Maybe they're like you, like Angela, like the 17 passengers on bus 4471. Maybe they got caught between moments once and never found their way back to the right timeline. Maybe they're still trying to reach their destination, forever lost in transit. The call to action. If you've ever traveled overnight through Colorado, through any mountain region, through any route that runs between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., check your records. Check your photos for timestamp discrepancies. Check your GPS history for gaps in location data. Check your credit card statements for transactions you don't remember making at rest stops along the route. For phantom purchases, ghost meals. If you find inconsistencies, leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what route you were on. Tell me what time your phone showed versus what time you remember. Tell me your story. Because we're building a map, a database of every incident, every anomaly, every moment where time folded and travelers got caught in the crease. We need to find the edges of this nightmare. The pattern is getting clearer. The incidents are accelerating. More routes, more passengers, more temporal discrepancies. We need to know where, we need to know when, we need to know which routes are affected. Because if you're planning to travel overnight, you need to know which routes to avoid, which times create the highest risk, which geological features correspond to incidents. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because as more data comes in, as more passengers report their experiences, we're getting closer to understanding what's happening. And maybe we can figure out how to stop it before it consumes us all. The final image. March 12, 2024. Bus 4471. Route 1038. 17 passengers departed Denver at 04:30 a.m. 23 passengers arrived in Grand Junction at 01:17 a.m. 6 passengers who didn't board. 6 passengers who don't exist in any database. 6 passengers who left biological evidence but no records. The federal investigation identified those 6 individuals through DNA analysis, through genetic genealogy, through databases that aren't public, locked away in the deepest, darkest vaults of the government. They found matches. All 6 individuals exist. They have birth certificates, social security numbers, employment records, lives. They are real. But here's what the investigation revealed, the chilling, final twist of the knife. Passenger 18, Jennifer Walsh, born 1989, reported missing on March 12, 2027, last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. Passenger 19, Marcus Flynn, born 1995, reported missing on March 12, 2029. Last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. Passenger 20, Lisa Montgomery, born 1991, reported missing on March 12, 2031. Last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. Passenger 21, David Park, born 1987, reported missing on March 12, 2033. Last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. Passenger 22, Sarah Okonkwo, born 1993, reported missing on March 12, 2035. Last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. Passenger 23, Thomas Rivera, born 1990, reported missing on March 12, 2037. Last seen boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver at 02:30 a.m. 6 passengers from the future, from years that haven't happened yet. From a future where they board the same bus on the same date at the same time and vanish. They didn't appear on bus 4471 by accident. They appeared because they're going to board that same route, same time, years from now. Their disappearances already etched into the fabric of time. The bus didn't just fold through space. It didn't just fold through hours. It folded through years. And if those 6 people are going to vanish in the future, if they're going to board Route 1038 on March 12th of those years and disappear, where are the passengers from March 12, 2024? The 17 passengers who boarded in Denver, where are they? Not physically. They're alive. They're home. They finished the trip. They remember. Or some of them do. But if the pattern holds, if the timeline is looping, if future passengers appear in the past, then maybe the 17 passengers from 2024 have already appeared somewhere else, on a bus that departed years ago. On a route that someone rode in 2003, 2007, 2015. Passengers who suddenly appeared, who weren't on the manifest, who nobody could explain. Ghost passengers, trapped in a temporal loop, their presence a fleeting anomaly. Maybe Angela Vasquez, David Torres, Patricia Hoffman, and the others? They've been riding that bus longer than they realize. In timelines that aren't their own. On routes that haven't been created yet. So if you're ever on Route 1038, Denver to Grand Junction, departing at 0230 a.m., and you count the passengers, and the number doesn't match the manifest, don't assume they're extra passengers. Don't assume they don't belong. Because maybe you're the extra passenger. Maybe you don't belong. Maybe you boarded this bus in a different year and you just don't remember yet. Your true origin erased. And when you arrive, if you arrive, check the date, because it might not be the same year you departed.